If we take aside the Anakin is always here meme, then I'm honestly glad he's not here for this, because Jar Jar and Padme are going on an adventure together in very close, tight spaces. This is one of the mini stories that we see in Star Wars Adventures. It is considered canon, and the first story of issue number 18 is one that we will discover today. It's called Raiders of the Lost Gundark, and it is by all accounts a very interesting and intriguing story with a duo that we never got to really see in any fashion, except for, of course, the love of my life, comic books. It starts off with Padme in her official garb when she was still serving as a queen. Beside her, there is a council member perhaps, and a handmaiden on her other side, serving the queen any way she desires, and all of a sudden you hear, "Use a Highness, Use a Highness." Someone yells it loudly, and of course it is Jar Jar Binks running to Padme's aid. But in fact, this time he was bringing great news to Padme. He was out in the swamps hunting for tasties, and he found something very, or muy important. Captain Panaka was not amused in the slightest, but Padme's interest was piqued. Jar Jar had found a treasure map, a map to a very powerful Gungan relic, and Jar Jar wanted Padme personally to help him find it. At first, Padme did not want to intrude in Boss Nass's territory, but Jar Jar informed Padme that this was actually Boss Nass's idea, bringing this problem to her, adding furthermore that the queen owed them. Captain Panaka, of course, was worried as always. Every time she would hang around Jar Jar, things would not go as smooth as they wanted to. Having no other choice but to go together with Jar Jar, Queen Amidala knew that she owed the Gungan people her loyalty. After all, they had fought together during the Trade Federation invasion, and it took only a few minutes later for Padme, together with Jar Jar, to change her outfit. And this is where it's weird. Either Jar Jar left the room or did not. Either way, Padme did change from her queen outfit into her everyday hunting for treasure outfit, whatever she wants to call it. And she wanted to know which way did the map lead as she was putting on her final glove. Since this was a very old map, Jar Jar had no idea if he was entirely sure where they needed to head and possibly find danger, but Padme had her blaster. She was sure that everything would be fine. Furthermore, she had explored all over Naboo. So both of them confident somewhat, both of them headed out for the mystical ruins of Naboo, trying to find this treasure or this relic that Padme asked about, and Jar Jar was not really sure. He only mentioned that Boss Nass had seen this relic a very long time ago. Ever since he was a child, he remembered it, but he had never seen it afterwards. Now danger was lurking at every turn. They entered what they thought was through vines, but it ended up being slitherfish resembling snakes and serpents that got Jar Jar in a heap of trouble, and he immediately asked for Padme's help. Without having other recourses, Padme started shooting with her blaster, and somehow they escaped this madness and got into very pretty country, into the countryside, a mountainside, and they were now nearing a bridge at the top. But Jar Jar was still very wary of this bridge, and his word came to be true, as this bridge was very weak and they barely could make it to the other side with, again, Padme's help, as Jar Jar was just a clumsy, bumbling fool, and without Padme, of course, and this story would not end up as it did. While Jar Jar was stumbling around, Padme, with her grappling gun, got to the other side without any problems. Now, seemingly, they were very close to their destination. They had approached a cave in which this relic should be inside, and unfortunately for our times that we are living in right now with the virus and everything, it is not a pretty sight to see that inside there are bats, and Jar Jar grabs a hold of a bat and eats it. Naturally, Padme is horrified, but if she lived on Earth and knew what consequences eating a bat would bring, she would be even more horrified. But nonetheless, they journeyed down the cave more and more. Some parts of the journey Padme was not amused of, and finally they came upon an old ruin inside a cave, with mystical symbols surrounding it. An old Gungan statue. This resembled an archaeological ruin of Gungan origin, and inside there was this relic waiting right in front of them in the center of this pyramid. Padme did not suspect danger until she picked up the relic. A monster was approaching, and it was a Gundark, the apex predator that would hunt down Gungans for food. Jar Jar went mad with fear, but this in fact ended up helping them, as Jar Jar's loud screams did so much damage to the Gundark to his ears that he finally collapsed in pain. While Padme did help her way around Naboo, in the end it was Jar Jar who became the hero in defeating the Gundark. Both of them, however, were disappointed to find out that this old relic of the Gungans was actually food for Boss Nass. It was a delicacy, an old delicacy that had been lost to tradition, and tasting it for another time after so many years, Boss Nass instructed Jar Jar to go find another one of these and bring it to his king, which left Jar Jar enraged. And we finally come upon to the ending of the story, but I gotta say, I love the duo team between Padme and Jar Jar. They did complement each other to a good degree, two Nabooans out and about. And what's more, I mean, this story reminds me of another duo team that involves Jar Jar, and that is Captain Rex. During the Clone Wars, Captain Rex and Jar Jar had a bit of an adventure of their own. Let's quickly recap for those who didn't watch my video. Hardcase and Rex were talking, and suddenly the Jedi got shot to death and his lightsaber falls with him. Rex was shocked, but now with the Jedi dead, the command fell to the Senator, Jar Jar Binks, who wasn't even paying attention to the battle, but reminiscing over the Jedi's death. Rex, of course, wasn't about to wait. He ordered the retreat and regrouped with his guys later on. The problem was they needed to attack the generator located on the opponent's base. Rex, not wanting to lose any more men, he simply ordered everyone to leave the planet. He said that to the rest of the troops, but later that night he started the journey by himself. Not without getting spotted by one of his brothers though. Rex wasn't about to be skewed from his plan. Once he destroyed the shield generator, they should immediately push for attack. And the most important thing, keep the Senator safe, as Jar Jar was looking on. Several hours later, Rex was now surrounded and he basically got outnumbered and demolished. He knelt down, ready to die. As the droids prepared to wipe him out, suddenly a blue lightsaber swishes through and cuts down all the B-1 droids. For a second, Rex thought it was the Jedi General, but no. It was someone else. It was Jar Jar Binks, holding the General's lightsaber. Here's where the Sith theory creeps in again. As soon as he is discovered, Jar Jar again pretends to be clumsy. The lightsaber slips inexplicably from his hands, and Jar Jar starts acting like a buffoon. He says that he took the lightsaber just so that it wouldn't fall to the wrong hands, and a frustrated Rex takes it from him. Jar Jar could have killed himself. Conveniently, Jar Jar agrees. He almost did kill himself 5 times. What do you guys think? Talk to me down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video though, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you until then.